So beautiful, Elena Brower. I can almost not even begin to explain how I feel about this beautiful soul. She's somebody who I have looked towards as a mentor, a role model of somebody who emits grace and wisdom and beauty, and essentially somebody that I look to as where I want to go in the future. They're the qualities that I want to emit when I age and as I move through life. So this beautiful soul, she wears many hats, and I don't even know how you fit it into your day, Elena, to put on all of these hats and still even have time for a podcast. She's a mama. She's a teacher, a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, and she's been doing that from 99, I believe, 1999. She's also a best-selling author and the host of the Practice You podcast, which is a podcast that I listen to regularly to get inspiration from and education from. I could just keep talking and introducing you about all of the things that I love about you and all of the things that I've seen you do and am a part of, like your mentorship and all of the community stuff. But I would really love for your beautiful voice to speak and for you to just introduce yourself, but also tell our audience a little bit more about the Elena right from the beginning. So not just the Elena now, but where you've come from and where you've been.
Wow, that's a broad question.
It is.
Let's see.
We've got an hour. Go on.
Well, I think the best place to start is that I am a child of Judy and Arnold, the best humans. Judy passed away in 2016, January, and I miss her very much. I have a younger sister. I have a son by the name of Jonah, and he's almost 15, and he's beautiful, and he's almost 6 feet, and he hates it when I talk about how tall he is, but he's super tall. And I love that he's taller than me.
Yes.
I have a partner named James. He's one of the kindest people I've ever met. We've been together almost 8 years. I love him very much. I have a few businesses that I love. I make art. I cook as much as I can. I'm growing my own food as much as I can. What else can I say? Yeah, that's kind of it for now. I think if you want to go into some more detail on certain aspects, I'm more than happy to.
Definitely. Growing up as a little kid, what did you always imagine yourself becoming or growing into? And it sounds like you had a really beautiful connection with your mum, and yeah, my heart goes to you there, because I imagine that would have been a very challenging transition to have her not with you in the physical world, but I'm sure she's with you in everything that you do now.
She is. For a while I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Same.
Truly. But I don't, it's funny, I don't really, I then wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to make clothing. I studied that all through college, that and art history. It's interesting. I don't really have a memory of wanting to do anything other than what I'm doing now, which is just helping people.
Yeah.
And making art.
Yeah. And when did yoga essentially find you? At what time in your life did that become apparent that you were meant to be teaching and sharing that wisdom along with all of the other stuff that you do as well?
It was 1998. I was living in Italy at the time, working for a company called Joan and David Designing Clothing. and assisting my boss, who spoke no Italian, with sort of liaising with all of the Italian folks. She was great. We had so much fun. But I came home and took a class at a gym, a yoga class, and that was the beginning of. I met a teacher with whom I ended up taking a teacher training, and then one thing led to another. Yoga was not popular at the time. My mother was not happy.
Mm.
But I really loved it, and I felt it very clearly in my body that it was something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
Wow. Who was that teacher?
Cindy Lee. She ended up opening Om Yoga Studio right after that on 14th Street, before 14th Street got cleaned up, way back, late 90s. And
Yeah.
then, yeah. And there were no yoga studios in Manhattan. There were like 3.
Wow. I can imagine it would have been, pardon me, going against the grain in a lot of areas, particularly at that time, because now it's just like people just say they do yoga and it's like, or at least they know about the terminology of it, whether it's them practicing it to what you understand it to be, or them, going to studios or doing that physical aspect. And I'd love to know what your idea of what yoga was at that time to now, how it's transitioned to where you are today.
I don't really recall what I thought of it at the time. It was just something that resonated so deeply in my body that I knew I wanted to do it.
Yes.
So that was it. Now I know that it's the healer of all things. And my boyfriend and I do yoga at the end of the day, a little yin yoga at the end of the day, almost every day now. And he wakes up and stretches every single morning, does yoga, gave him a little routine. I wake up and sometimes I do yoga and sometimes I work out with weights. Sometimes I go and do hill sprints. Sometimes I do some combination of 2 of those 3 things.
It's so nice to eventually find the balance that works for your body, because I know something that I struggled with for a long time, with where I was coming into the yoga world from a very physical level, and it was trying to understand what my body needed or wanted, and trying to figure out which one of those was actually like a holistic practice. So it's nice to just hear that you do a combination of things. And other times that we've spoken, I love your non-judgmental approach to practice as well, that it doesn't just have to look a certain way, because we can get so caught up in what a label defines yoga as, or what exercise might look like. But our bodies are also so incredibly different. And that's something that I really love about your practices too, is like moving in a way that feels creative. Like, I don't even know how you've managed to make that your thing, or if you even know that that's your thing, but it's every single time I move in a practice that I do with you on Glow or online somewhere, it just feels like just your soul coming through in its own creativity, but allowing me to do that in my own way as well.
That's my secret dream, is that my experience of just kind of being very present in my body leads you to the same place, and it doesn't have to be a certain way or a certain tradition or a certain style. It's been such a long time studying and practicing, and so many different things have crossed my path, and so many things have inspired me. So why should I stick with just one way? So it's, your perception is correct. Let's say.
I love that. Who have been your lifelong teachers, not just yoga teachers, but I'd also love to hear who your mentors have been, either that have carried through or that have been that have come and gone, that have really, really just stuck in your soul that I guess have shaped the person that you are today?
All of my art teachers, I would have to say.
Yeah.
They've all been a really big influence. I had a teacher, several in high school, and then at Cornell in university. Yoga wise, I would say I've had threads of connection to 3 different teachers over a more than 20-year span, whom I've known about and or studied with and been inspired by. Actually, it's a few more than 3, but I'll name them anyway. It's Roshi Joan Halifax.
Yeah.
It's Judith Hanson Lassiter, Tias and Surya Little. I took their class at my first yoga journal conference way back in the day. Shiva Ray, the same. Sean, also the same. Korn.
Yeah.
And they've all sort of stuck around in various different ways and shades throughout. Even Richard Freeman and Mary Taylor too. You know, those were the people with whom I studied at my very, very first yoga conference, and they've always been in my sphere of influence since. Even if I don't study closely with them, but close teachers now, I would call Joan Halifax, Judith Lassiter, Abby Galvin, Naveen Mishan, even at a distance now, you know, since COVID. Tia and Surya remain dear, close, and I love taking their classes online. They're so great with prajnayoga.com, PRAJNA yoga.com.
Yes.
Tias has a really cool way of teaching a very sort of interoception focused, yin, humorous, delicious practice. I just love it so much. And it you can smell it in a lot of the classes that I teach at some form, you know, at some point or another, in some form or another. Yeah.
I think I have taken one of or like multiple of Tias's classes, but I can't remember if that was on Glow or Yoga International, but he does definitely bring a different energy. And I love that when you can be in someone's presence like that, much like me being in yours, and it just reminds you that you also have that quality within you as well. It just reminds you to bring it out in all of the things that you do, because essentially teaching is just that reflection of who you are on and off the mat. And that's, yeah, definitely how I see you being. I don't see you just saying these pretty words and then being a completely different person. It's all interwoven. So that's really cool.
Sometimes I'm a completely different person. Depends. You know, I'm working all my life on not on being one person, but every now and again it does happen. And I would say, yes, you probably found Tias on Glow, and his classes on Glow are, you know, even though you're in the Glow room and you're not in his home studio, it's still there. The little spark, the little, you know, humorous, dedicated, really devoted student. All of the teachers that I've named remain students even in their mastery, and that's why I've chosen them to be in my world.
Yeah, I love that a lot. And I know that the Glow space, when I'm on there, it's and for people listening to this and are looking for an online platform, you can find so many of Elena's classes on there and a multitude of other teachers on glow.com. So that's GLO.com. And I know it's a place that I come back to quite often if, you know, I feel like I need something, but I don't quite know where to look, because there's so much online these days. There's so much even on YouTube. But what I love about Glow is that it's pretty much, you can plug into somebody that, like yourself, type in your name, and it's like there's so many classes that you can choose from. And I just love the high quality that I get from it every time. And you can find something that you need in that moment, or even plan out your week or your month with. So yeah, I love it. As for practices, pardon me, I have been thinking about when we were speaking, when you just said, I'm going to do some forest yoga, and I don't know why that just keeps coming into
Forest
my,
yoga?
yeah, you said I'm going to do yoga in the woods or something. Yoga
Oh
in the
yeah,
woods.
no.
Yeah.
There's a lady in Santa Fe who teaches I think weekly. I don't know. I've only been once, but she teaches a class in the woods, and
Wow.
it's super, super sweet, beyond
Yeah.
sweet. Her name is Barbara. She's an older lady, and it is like honestly one of the nicest experiences I've had in a yoga class pretty much ever.
Yeah, because that's what I was. I don't know why my throat's gone all funny all of a sudden. But yeah, that's what I was going to ask of, where is like one of the most incredible places that you've either taught or practiced? Because I know that you would be present wherever you are, and I'm sure you would take what you need to out of it, but surely there's some places that you've been that have just been absolutely awe-inspiring and, yeah, soul sparking, so to speak.
Mm, I would say the first thing that comes to my mind is actually the this whole pandemic time, being able to do yoga in my own house and
Mm.
teach from here, and plug. It's a whole tech journey that I've been on. To I'm working with Glow. I plug into the router. I link the router all the way from the office to the living room to the camera.
Oh my
I
God.
turn the camera on. I feel everybody with me, and I live stream once a week. Right now, it happens on your Tuesday mornings in the Southern Hemisphere, or Monday
Ah,
evening, late day evening. And I have to say, it's the most beautiful opportunity to reach as many people as possible. We usually have anywhere between 80 and, I don't know, as many as 130 people on there. It
wow.
is such an honor, honestly, to work in my own house and to be having that sort of a reach from here.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of. And then the second thing I thought of was Bhutan,
Oh, that is a
where,
spot that I
oh
want to
my goodness,
go. Oh my
what a
God.
place. The hikes every day, the most beautiful practice room,
Mm,
just everything so prayerful and reverent, really
wow.
exceptional.
Was that a spot that you lived in for a period of time, or that you were traveling to for retreat or specific teaching, for training?
No, it was a retreat. I was
Oh,
invited to teach a retreat there. That's all. It's called
wow.
Shambhala. Yeah, beautiful.
Wow. That sounds amazing. And back to your point on teaching out of home, uh, technology is, I think prior to all of this COVID stuff, a lot of us had perceptions about what, technology brought. And I certainly loved it for certain aspects, and definitely didn't think I would have the kind of connection to it that I have today, in the way that we're able to, like you said, reach still so many people, but not only just reach them, but feel their presence either when you're teaching or they're turning up. And it's incredible to know that they're actually there doing it. So it's kind of, regardless of teaching in a studio, that they're still showing up and they're putting in the work for themselves. And it's such a
Mm.
yeah, such a beautiful gift. Because where else do you teach? There's Glow that you're on at the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Um, that's my primary sort of virtual space, and then every now and again I have a workshop here and there.
nice.
I do collaborations probably once a month with dear friends. Like I've collaborated with Reggie Hubbard, Tracy Stanley, Erica Jago's coming up, Mark Holtzman is coming up. Those are things that I would have done in a studio somewhere on this planet,
Mm.
but can't and won't. Actually, it's not that I can't, it's that I won't. I want to be home. That's all. I just want to stay home. I've traveled for so long,
Yeah.
And it's such a pleasure to just be home. But Glow is my main home, and that's where you can find, over 100 and something classes with me at any given time
Yeah.
and study with me there.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Moving forward with all of your work, because I see it being like you have so many things that you offer, and you're always evolving. Like I was just watching the Tracy Stanley devotion video in the mentorship yesterday, and
Mm.
it's that was just beautiful. Like being in your presence and seeing who you talk to and the kinds of conversations that you have just lights me up. And I wonder if that's where you see yourself for like the infinite future moving forward. I know that things will change and evolve, but do you have plans for moving your yoga practice or your teachings elsewhere? Are you quite happy with the setup that you have with your mentorship, Glow, your books, your art, your teaching?
Yeah, I choose things very carefully. I'm
Mm,
really, really happy with what I have here. I've been with Glow for almost 12 years.
wow.
We have a beautiful relationship where I can really be myself right now, and I don't have to go into the studio, at least not for this year.
Yeah.
And it's a real blessing. It's a real blessing to be able to serve as many people as I do from my house. And in terms of the mentorship, that is basically the best of me. It combines everything
Mm.
that I know from business to spirit to parenting to relating. I feel like that's my best work in there. And that's something that I'm doing. I'm sort of over delivering for what it is,
Yeah.
and for what it costs. But I really enjoy my time creating for that space. And I know that you guys are really having a good time too. So I stick with it.
It's an amazing space. And um, if anybody is listening to this and wanting something that does combine, just like you just said, it combines the spiritual, the business side, relationship wise, just understanding a really holistic picture of life without, targeting you into one area. Like you have to be this way. It's like, well, here's a range of practices. Here's a range of information. Here's a range of resources that you have access to. And yeah, I feel like with anything like that, it just feels like a deeper sense of community, which is definitely something I value in life. And it's like you said, keeping yourself around people that you choose wisely. So it's like trying to, let's just get rid of all the stuff that we don't need, or get rid of those external things that aren't really taking us to where we want to go, whether that's people or like food or whatever it might be. And, just being around in a space where people are showing their best self automatically what makes me want to be my best self. And yeah, I'm excited to keep diving deeper into it. And you do over deliver in that for the price that it is, for sure. I'm like, wow,
Mm,
girl, thank you.
I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I just absolutely adore about you, and I have a question as to whether you'd write your own, like not just a journal, but like a book, because I know that you reference a lot of young Pablo's words and other people's words, because I know that you also love communication and you write so eloquently. And I wondered if you would ever put together something like young Pablo's little books yourself, or do you weave that kind of into your journal artwork?
So it does go into my journal artwork, but there is a book in the works
Oh, yay.
that I'm self-publishing, and it's similar to that in that each thing is like its own little burst of insight,
Yeah.
but it's going to be very artful and like tactile.
Yes.
I'm now figuring out who can make this, where I create sort of every page is a little journey, open an envelope, open a flap, go finding what it is that I've written, something like that.
Yes. When
Mhm.
do you even have an end date for that, or are you just going to let it flow and be finished when you feel it's finished?
It'll be finished when it's finished, simply because
Yeah.
I'm self-publishing, so I have
Yeah.
all the time in the world, which is so nice.
Yeah. That is super exciting. Oh, I will definitely be adding that to cart, if not multiple. That's super cool.
Sweet.
That's stuff that I love. It's like it's almost like being on a little Easter egg hunt in a book. That's so cool.
Yes. Yes.
Did
I
you
love
used
it.
to write to your mum at all?
Just from camp, we would write letters a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
So sweet.
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, I honestly just want to sit and have a cup of tea with you in person and just see how you live, and like, what does a day in Elena's world look like? Is that set Monday to Friday with Jonah still being at school, or is it quite various throughout the week?
I have a pretty serious structure. I
Yeah.
work out in the mornings. Um, I meditate first, do all this oral care, skin care, gua sha, facial
Mm.
reflexology. I really have a good time in the bathroom in the morning. And then work out, and then work, very focused work for at least 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
The afternoons are more spacious. There's lunch. I'll make lunch. I'll, do sort of podcast episode or paint or something like this. I just figured out that I have enough podcast episodes through to the end of this year, pretty much, so
Yes.
I can relax a little bit on that.
Yes.
And Jonah's out of school at the moment. It's summertime here, but he'll be
Oh,
going
yep.
back soon. And then that takes up, a couple of hours of the day, back and forth a few times.
Yeah. Incredible. What is your latest book that you're reading? Because I know that you're a lover of books, and what has been your greatest takeaways from it? If you either want to share a passage from it or even recommend a book for me to pop in my online cart or get the
Mm.
physical version.
Mm. Let's see. I would recommend strongly Radiant Rest by Tracy Stanley, of course. I
Yeah,
think
that's in the
that should
cart
be
already.
required reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, required reading for all humans.
Yeah.
Um, I'm reading Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower at the moment. I just finished that one. I'm actually going on to read Parable of the Talents. I don't know if I would recommend it because it's very serious dystopian insanity, but
Mhm.
gorgeous. Like, wow, what a book. Um, it's sort of, I don't want to say it's dark. It's actually quite light, full of light. But it has elements of, end of the world, apocalyptic nature
Mm.
to it. Just something to think
Interesting.
about. Um, what a writer, though. And All About Love by Bell Hooks.
All about
Still sitting
love.
next to my bed. I look at it
Oh,
every day, just a little passage or so.
yeah.
What a gift that one is too.
I love that. Is that your favorite form of um like, I don't even know what the word would be, because it's like learning in a way? Do you love the physical aspect in general, or you're someone who like loves podcasts, likes movies, like music, or is it all very mood dependent, scene dependent, wherever you're at?
Dependent, I would say.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what's a podcast outside of your own incredible podcast that you would that you'd also say is worth a listen, or that you often get inspiration from?
Sam Lamott, for sure. Sam Lamott is How to Human podcast.
How to Human. I love that.
Yeah, so good. Anything that Danny Shapiro does is amazing. I love Add to Cart. Speaking of adding to cart, Add to Cart with Suchin Pak and Kulap Vilaysack. It's
cool.
awesome. Suchin was just on my podcast recently.
Oh, wow. I will give that a listen as well. That's awesome.
Just incredible. Yeah, those three are awesome.
Yeah.
I love there's so many great ones. Tim Ferriss.
Yes. Isn't he interesting? He's just
a student. I
right.
always learn.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great student.
And he's also he's a great listener and great question asker as well. It's not just the it's not just a standard, oh, how's the weather sort of situation. He really gets in deep and seems to bring out sides of people that in a really incredible way that's educational. And I just love the way he speaks as well. It's quite it almost reminds me of when you speak of T.S. Little, it's like quirky nature that they bring, but it's still very intellectual and intelligent. And good reminder. I haven't listened to him in a while.
He's got Ramit Sethi this week, which I can't wait to hear.
Nice.
On money. Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, money in that area. What has your relationship with money been from starting yoga to now, and like where you're at? Have you always had a healthy relationship with money, or has that been a journey in itself along with the rest of life?
Well, now I just realized that money is truly energy, and it's such an easy thing to make money your friend.
Yeah.
It just takes a little time and a lot of practicing believing.
Yeah.
What I've come to understand is that if I look at money as a vehicle for my own giving, it will come to me, no problem.
Absolutely.
I don't need to keep it all.
It's the abundance mindset, really, isn't it?
I don't even like that word.
Abundance.
I can't even stand that word.
Can't stand it.
It's so overused.
Yeah.
So unfortunate. It's completely overused. Just listen, make money your friend.
Yeah.
And see it as a vehicle for your own giving.
Yeah.
That's it. The minute you start to get into words like that, it gets lost in the shuffle of all the spiritual bypassing business that's going on.
I love that pull up, because I think, that's a great learning in itself, because just hearing that straight out, and it's like even watching that video that you have on your business and the word network marketing or all of that kind of stuff, and just not seeing these words as dirty or not seeing these words as wrong or bad, and it's being straight out and open and honest with it, which is, I will take that on wholeheartedly. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah. Wow. What's the next thing for you? Do you have like your next launch, or will that be your book that is your next launch?
Next launch is going to be actually something I haven't really talked about in a while.
Oh, is it open to talking about?
No, I created a beautiful deck that I really wanted to have that I couldn't find. I couldn't buy it. Just wasn't around.
Yeah.
And so it's coming in probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be shipping it myself from my own house. I'm already filling out the little cards. It's called Daily Ceremony. It's beautiful. And I think it should be available for sale probably the 1st of September of 2021.
Incredible. I've been seeing that pop up.
Yeah, I have a first run of 500 decks, and they'll all be coming with a little signed card from me.
Wow. Yes, I feel like I'm that person who's like, what are you doing? I just need to be a part of this. Because I've been seeing your, the little daily ceremonies come up, and that's been super exciting because yeah, I would love to hear what your vision is with all of it. Because when I see it, I just see like it emits clarity and grace and wisdom, and even just understanding what your interpretations of the word grace is, because I just feel like you are it.
That's sweet. I have it tattooed on my hand.
Grace.
Yes, the word.
Really?
It started out as an A for Anthony when Anthony and I got married, and then when we got
Mm,
divorced, I turned it into Grace.
wow.
Yeah, it's so sweet. Um, what can I say? I I firmly believe that grace has to do with a certain steadiness,
Mm, I love that.
and that steadiness belies, or actually, that steadiness points to a level of self knowing, self acceptance, studentship.
Mm.
I think all of those are factors.
It's
Yeah.
that's really quite sweet, because I didn't know that you had that tattooed. And it's just, whenever I, yes, speak of you or even just think of you, it's more than just the word. It's like the essence of the word of grace is like, oh, that is definitely something that I try to embody in um, my day-to-day life. But it's, again, it's finding people who show you how to do that. And yeah, I appreciate what you share and what you teach, and having the access to so much of your work. It's just so, yeah, it's so incredible. So thank you for that.
Most welcome.
Yeah. And to wrap this up, my girl, is there any messages of what you would like anything that's been coming up for you, either in this podcast or that's been a recent message or recurring message that's been coming up for you to share, that you'd like to share here?
Make sure that you are treating yourself with great care and consistency,
Mm,
not bubble bath care,
yeah.
but like really paying attention to who you are and how you're being in the world, really paying attention to your output and your input. I mean that energetically as well as financially.
Yeah.
Really, really, really pay attention to yourself, and
Yeah.
that's going to make you more and more capable of serving when other people are suffering. I do have a feeling, without becoming conspiratorial or in any way dramatic, I do have a feeling that we are going to need to band together in very serious ways in the coming months and years.
Mm,
And the more that we can have a command over ourselves, our states, the easier it will be to serve the people around us. We are going to need to be doing that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And really, what a lot of your stuff is, it's like practice you of like, or being you, even coming back to that sense of when we're nourishing ourselves and we're sticking with community, that is really going to, yeah, raise the right frequencies around us and collectively as well. Because it's so simple. Just this coming week, a lot of people have been coming to me and they've been in a super flat energy, and it's just so interesting how easy things can spread. But you can think of that in such a positive way as well, like when someone smiles, or we're all practicing together at a certain time, how easily we can shift the energy into a really healing space as well. So awesome message. And yeah, for those listening, really take that on board, because it's not it's not just an airy fairy light thing to say. It's genuinely feel into where you're putting your time and your energy, see who you're keeping yourself around, and kind of be really conscious of the world that we're all creating, not just thinking about our own little worlds. So yeah, I just so much appreciate you as always for, like I said, your grace, your beauty, and your wisdom. They're the three words that always kind of circle around in my head when I think of you. So thank you for your time. And
Bless.
yeah, and I look forward to just discovering more in the mentorship and getting to evolve with you, which lights me up inside and out.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Most
Really a
welcome.
pleasure to talk to you. Pleasure to work with you. Pleasure to
Yeah,
work more closely with you now. Really sweet. Thank you.
you're so welcome.
Yeah.